Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Sonic the Hedgehog Tangle and Whisper Issue 3. It's finally out after like a month and a half of waiting. And yeah, when we last left our heroes, Tangle and Whisper arrived at an Eggman Empire bunker where Mimic was hiding out. Mimic beat them real bad. After disguising himself as both Jewel and Tangle, he had locked Tangle in a safe, set the bunker to blow, and Tangle and Whisper only survived because they hid out in the safe that protected them from the explosion. Whisper tried to get Tangle to leave the mission because she didn't want another friend to die, like her team, the Diamond Cutters, all had at Mimic's hand. But now Tangle has gotten her to start to tell the story of the Diamond Cutters and her backstory. And that's where we left off back in early September. So let's jump right on in to Tangle and Whisper Issue 3. Our cover here is just a fairly plain picture of Tangle, like, taking her mask off. So ground zero of former Eggman bunker. We jump right in where we left off. They're still sitting in the safe. And Tangle turns to Whisper. "You've been carrying some serious baggage all on your own. I see that now. Let me help. What happened? What did Mimic do to you?" And she looks at Whisper, and there's this long silence. And Whisper kind of like squints and turns away in shame. "There were 5 of us." And she pulls out a picture of the Diamond Cutters. Slinger, our marksman. Me, the scout. Smithy, our crafter. Clairvoyance, our psyop. Alright. And Mimic, the infiltrator. I mean, this is Sonic, so of course their names are really on the nose. I will say though, the Whisper we see in this picture doesn't seem like she whispers very much. Though maybe she still did, but she's definitely not the quiet, reserved Whisper we know now. Anyway, we were the Diamond Cutters. And Tangle, like, stars in her eyes. "You guys look so cool!" Thanks. Tangle just cannot read the room. "They're all dead, Tangle." "We were an anti-Eggman mercenary team. Took the most dangerous missions. I thought we were all committed to the cause." And she like presses some buttons on the inside of her mask. "Here, let me show you. The video of our mask was networked. Let us review the missions. Study each other's perspectives." Oof, this is a little rough right after the safe. Oh, because she was complaining about like the lack of air. The mask would do the same. Okay, no problem. And then she's playing a video from Smithy's mask. And we see a couple Eggman robots are bringing in what look like prisoners. One of them, I think, is Clairvoyance. They're probably like, pretending to be prisoners. And the other is maybe Slinger, I guess? Yeah, it's definitely Slinger. Because the Eggman robot was actually Mimic. And they've like beat up the guard of this base. There are calculators out there with better security. Don't get too cocky. Claire, where are the patrols? Claire's like doing her like psychic thing. I see. On the formation on the far end of the base. 2 more inside. Recharging. Perfect. Whisper? 1 patrol. 100 meters from the front gate. And we see that Whisper was not whispering back then. She was a shouter. And then we see from Mimic's perspective, Slinger and Smithy are just like going to town on the Eggman robots with what look like Wispons. "Then blow the door. We'll tear everything down in here." Then we see from Whisper's perspective, she's like at a distance, like with what looks like a sniper rifle or a sniper Wispon, I guess. "Actually, looks like Eggman was expecting us. Tank inbound." And then she like shoots an orange wisp at the tank. Never mind. Hee hee. And back in Smithy's perspective, we see Clairvoyance looks like she's like blown up a part of the base, and she's like jumping down from a tower. "Central command tower neutralized." Mimic has used the wisps to make these like cubes to escape. "I've got our exit. Whisper, how are we looking to the south?" And we cut back to Whisper's perspective. "All clear. Get out of there." "Yeah, get him. You all were amazing." We worked well together. A wisp is talking. "I'll say, you all..." And then she notices that it's a wisp who's talking to her. "Gneep! Wait, you can talk?" Then the wisp like switches back to Wispish as she takes the mask off, and she puts the mask back on. "Say again?" I said, of course we can talk. And Tangle takes the mask off again, eyes shining. The mask lets you talk to wisps! Anyway, Whisper gets back to business. Smithy was a genius. Designed our masks, our wisp-ons, everything. Masks let us communicate, coordinate. He wanted us to act as one. This variable wisp-on was his prototype. We were all meant to have one. Oh, right, because the wisp-ons we saw during that flashback there were all, like, only using one type of wisp. Everyone working as one. Everyone using all the wisps. Everyone, and, like, there's this brief moment where she's truly happy. When she's talking about the variable wisp-on and Smithy and all that. And then she remembers what happened, I guess, and turns away. They all sound like awesome friends. Now you've got to tell me what happened. I mean, I can figure it out. But I think you need to get it out there. It's eating you up inside. I actually really like that. You know, Tangle is smart enough to, like, have put most of the pieces together. Mimic betrayed them. The rest of her team is probably dead. But she recognizes that Whisper needs to talk this out. I just love IDW Sonic, alright? This entire franchise is so good. And Whisper turns away. I can't. Then show me. Do you still have the footage on file? Yes, but if you can't confront it right now, I understand. But the more you share, the more I can help you. Please? And I love that the Tangle even recognizes that, like, even if she needs to do it, Whisper does need to get this out at some point. That doesn't mean that she can right now. She's still not ready for that. This series is so good. And Whisper looks at her. We see she's, like, starting to tear up. And she turns back to the Wisps, who are all coming to, like, comfort her. You think so? She presses another button on the mask and hands it to Tangle. If you're sure. I'm sure. Then we cut back to Whisper's mask in the past. Mimic is talking like the rest of the crew, planning an op, I guess. And taking it down will be total blackout for his forces along the coastline. Eggman's been steamrolling the world with the Hedgehog's MIA. We can't pass this up. And Clairvoyance kind of like turns to Whisper. Listen, hang back like you always do, okay? Why? Mimic says we're all needed on the ground for this one. I'm not sure. I've just got a bad feeling about this. You're the psychic. Should we scrub the op? No, Mimic's right. We can't let this opportunity pass. We'll just have to be extra careful, and I'll scry really hard. Ha ha ha. So you can already see the pieces falling into place here. You know, Whisper's gonna survive because Claire had her hang back, and that's gonna be how Claire, Smithy, and Slinger all die. Yeah, the pieces... I love how the pieces are really slowly falling into place with this flashback. We see on Smithy's mask, it's way too quiet. Claire, where's the security? I'm having trouble seeing any... They're in the base now. They're doing the op. I'm having trouble seeing anything. Eggman must be projecting alpha waves. Then we cut to Whisper, who's outside the base. Whisper, anyone inbound? All quiet out here. Then we're back to Smithy. Slinger turns to Mimic. I don't like this. Eggman's ready for us this time. After all we've done to him, you think he wouldn't adapt? Who else can take this place down? The Resistance? And then Mimic is like shifted into a bot. But Smithy responds, you're both right. Mimic, scout around for an ambush. We'll push ahead. Good call. I'll yell if I find something. Mimic goes to scout and probably to betray them. The alpha waves are strongest here, and Claire points to... It looks like a bunch of... They're like pods, it looks like. The alpha waves are strongest here. Whatever Eggman's hiding is most likely in there. Lock and load, Diamond Cutters. Let's cause some property damage. And they look like... So Smithy is like holding on to the pod. It looks like Shadow. What in the world? I've heard of Metal Sonic. Is this... And the pods drain. It looks like a room full of metal shadows. And we see that like the pod like filled with liquid and it's draining. Whoa, we're sealed in and they're locked in, and the metal shadows all wake up. Fire at will, and they're like being surrounded by an army of metal shadows. We cut to Slinger. Mimic, Whisper, we need evac. And when we cut to Claire, she's like being grabbed at by a metal shadow. Mimic, where are you? Then we see in Mimic's mind, Shadow androids online. Shadow androids online. Shadow androids online. Shadow androids online. And yeah, he's in like an Eggman's like control room. So first of all, I thought the Shadow androids just looked exactly like Shadow, right? Because like when in the Shadow the Hedgehog game, he thought he might have been an android because he looked just like an android. It doesn't quite work if they look like Shadow but Metal Sonic. I don't know. Anyway, maybe it's just a new model. Well done, Mimic. I wasn't sure you'd deliver, but I'm delighted you did the smart thing. By my estimate, you'll have 99% of the planet in a month. This is Mimic talking. By my estimate, you'll have 99% of the planet in a month, and I prefer to play for the winning team. I'm free to go, correct? Yes, I'll pardon you for your crimes against me. Go out there and do whatever it is you do. And he, like, transforms into a wisp, I think? Or a wisp comes out and kind of, like, rails at Eggman. I guess the wisp was with Mimic. Mission complete. I guess I'll be moving on without my wisp. Oh, yeah, so the wisp is, like, angry at the betrayal and just kind of leaves. They're more trouble than they're worth, believe me. Now let's see here. My shadow androids report 3 targets down. There were 5 of you. And he's like, come over to really, like, intimidate, Mimic. Whisper stayed outside his lookout. She's only a scout. No threat to finish the job or I finish you. Then we cut to Whisper. We're now outside in Whisper's perspective. Whisper, help. She sees Slinger. We were ambushed. I barely got out alive. She abandoned us? I mean, she would have heard everything. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. That's my bad. I will deal with that later. Anyway, where was I? So it was actually Mimic, and Mimic has turned back into his normal form. If she ran the minute things went bad, she could be a click from here in any direction. Eggman's gonna flame me alive. And then we cut to Mimic's playback, where we can see his face. Oh, he's taking his mask off, so his mask is pointing up at his face. Then again, I have her wisp on, and he wouldn't know my mask from hers. I can turn these in as proof. That gets Eggman off my back, and there's nothing to fear from an unarmed coward. Ha! It should be criminal to be this smooth. So I guess her wisp on. Oh, she left her wisp on behind. That's where, because what she's seeing here is Slinger, Mimic as Slinger coming up to her wisp on. And we see that she's hiding with her wisp as Slinger kind of like hums to himself as he walks off. And Tangle like takes the mask off, gasps, and hands it back to Whisper and looks away. And then Whisper in the present finally speaks. I waited until it was all clear, rescued the wisps, went back to base, took Smithy's prototype. And then she like kind of holds her hands up to her face, like brings her head all up and kind of sighs. I know I asked for it, but why would you hold on to that footage? And Whisper is now standing up, very angry. Never forget. Never forgive. Ah, that's why you took that new wisp on and a small army of little friends. To keep fighting as the guardian angel of the battlefield. Their name for me, not my idea. Wait, did that nickname come from like Diamond Cutters, or just from like people who she's helped? Because we have this flashback here of her and Silver in issue 8. I don't know. And then you joined us in fighting Neo Metal Sonic. I guess having Shadow with us makes things awkward. Right, because it was Shadow androids that killed the Diamond Cutters. Now I kind of want to go back and read that arc and see how she reacted to Shadow. Because I don't remember how she reacted to Shadow. It wasn't his fault. But it was difficult to see him. Okay, so I've got a pretty good timeline of everything now. That only leaves one question. Why leave me behind? Mimic is dangerous, not just because of what he can do, but because he's in your head. If not me, then Sonic, Amy, Tails, somebody. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted there. I heard something hit my window. This line. Why leave... Wait, is she asking why Whisper would leave her behind? I don't know. You're the first friend I've allowed myself to have since then. I can't stand the thought of losing anyone again. She's asking, like, why would it matter if she leaves Tangle behind, because, like, Mimic could just transform into anybody. I think, I'm not sure. It would make more sense if, I don't know, that I can't quite understand what she's saying on page 17. Mimic is dangerous, not just because of what he can do, but because it's in your head. That makes sense. But the first and third line, why leave me behind? And if not me, then Sonic, Amy, Tails, somebody. I don't quite get what she's saying there? I don't know. You were the first friend I've allowed myself to have since then. I can't stand the thought of losing anyone again. Tangle starts to tear up, and then she stands up. Well, too bad. You're my friend, too. And friends look after each other, no matter what. He nearly destroyed us tonight. Well, yeah. Which means he gets double the payback. We'll bring him down and make him regret every lousy, nasty thing he's done. I know how he works firsthand now. He won't trick me again. He doesn't stand a chance next time. Heh, you can't be discouraged, can you? Not when my buddy needs some positive energy, and especially not when her friends need avenging. And then Whisper stands up and just gives Tangle this big hug. Thank you. And we see them silhouetted in the night sky, the wisp surrounding them. And then I guess we cut this a little bit later, they've started to search for Mimic. The trail is cold. It will take a while to find him. Maybe not. Mimic already got you once. Eggman will demand solid proof this time. That means Mimic will come back. And we'll give him a taste of his own medicine. And then sometime later, it's either sunrise the next day, or it's already sunset again. Mimic has come back on some, like, drill ship looking thing. I'm here. I can confirm they're gone. There's nothing left but soot and slag. And he's like on a hollow call with Eggman. Then comb through every mote and lump. You screwed up once already, and I don't trust you not to do it again. They both would have been atomized. What kind of proof do you expect me to find? That's your problem, not mine. You assured me your former comrade wasn't a threat, let alone alive. Except not only is the last Diamond Cutter alive, she became a highly destructive beacon of hope during the war. She cannot be allowed to run around. And Mimic responds, gets back in the ship and drives off. Don't you have better things to do than hunt down one mercenary? Sonic gives me enough trouble. I don't need another distraction. Fail me again and I'll add you to that list of distractions. There's no shape you can take that will protect you from Metal Sonic. I'll see what I can find. And then he comes along to the safe that has survived and is open and empty. Impossible. What, are they alive? What kind of assassin are you? Oh, he sees their tracks. These tracks are perfect. No signs of limping. Evenly spaced, not hurried. These are deliberate. So? Shut up for 1 minute, will you? And he follows the tracks, even though they're very clearly, I think, a trap on Tangle and Whisper's hands. How dare you! Your life is in my hands. You'll finish off the last of the Diamond Cutters, or I will... Relax, Doctor. I know exactly where to find them. And we see Tangle and Whisper have left a message. We end this where we started. I'm going to need backup, because who wants a fair fight? Next time, the final showdown. Yeah, that is the end. Or the penultimate issue of this fantastic miniseries. A brutal, absolutely brutal flashback, as we see, we don't actually get to see Whisper's friends being torn apart by shadow androids, but that seems like it's just to keep this kid friendly. I talked about this in my issue 22 review last night, but I'm very curious what the kids reading this are thinking. The series has been brutal this year, both in the main series and in Tangle and Whisper, as we find out that Whisper's backstory is that all of her friends are dead, or betrayed her to kill her friends. Wow. Yeah, it's just kind of a brutal flashback. And it does kind of, I'm kind of curious. I can get why Whisper would become so reserved after all this, but yeah, I get it. There's nothing really to say there. I was gonna mention like, oh, what was the path to her becoming, as quiet as she is? It is really obvious. Her friends died as she watched. She's like seeing the footage of her friend's death. She could do nothing. She survived because Claire told her to get out of there in advance. Yeah, it's a brutal chapter, brutal issue. I mean, but it's also like really sweet at times. This scene after the flashback is done between between Tangle and Whisper. Whisper's too bad. You're my friend too. I love that. So like Tangle is not here for Whisper's self-sacrifice. Or Whisper's like trying to spare her or whatever. She's here for to the very end. What Whisper does, Tangle does too. And yeah, it's freaking fantastic. I cannot wait to see where we go from here on. When does that final issue come out? November 13th. That's, I think, 2.5 weeks away until we get the ending. So yeah. We're moving into the final stage of the series as Tangle and Whisper face Mimic in one final battle, though it won't be a fair fight, and I'm curious how well they'll do, because Mimic alone beat them. But if they're wise to Mimic's tricks, I think they'll have a good shot, if Mimic's backup does not do them in himself. So I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe or, do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!